What's up? Welcome in. It's Hold My Banner. George Balekji Ountae Campbell. Another episode for you guys this week. Fun episode we got. Kristaps Porzingis talking about Neemias Queta. How does he fit? We'll break down the depth chart of the Celtics. And this is where it gets fun because it's actually a deep team.
Yeah.
When you start looking at the depth chart, the front court's not sexy. It's not enticing. It's not exciting, but it's deep. We'll also talk Anfernee Simons fit. And man, less than 24 hours since Pablo Torre did his thing.
Yeah.
If he texts you or calls you, do not pick up. I think that's what it is when it comes to Pablo Torre, and that's because he's been doing amazing work. Kawhi Leonard, no-show job, like Sopranos style, him and Steve Ballmer. We'll talk all that, what it could mean for Ballmer, the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard for the NBA, and honestly, that whole story, which gets more wild and more wild. The more you listen to the episode, the more you read up on it. And we got fun previews for you guys. Appreciate y'all sticking with us.
Yeah.
Right, the last two previews weren't the best, right? This time we got the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, two contenders, two teams with big off seasons, obviously with superstars. We'll get into that. As I always like to start, though. Tay, how we doing, my man?
I'm doing good.
Sure. Shout out, Queta. I like it.
You know, well, KL, we got to talk about another KL on this episode.
Fair.
So, of course, you know, let me move that laptop out of the way. Yeah.
Is that from the concert?
Yeah,
Here in
well,
Gillette?
it's from before. I wore it to the concert, but you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, KL. I thought it was fitting. You know
Ante's Inglewood through and through, LA through and through.
Yeah.
So he's not like he went to see Kendrick Lamar for the first time he was at Gillette.
Right.
My man been there since day one.
We got to talk about a dude from California, Southern California as well. It was just all fitting. It's all fitting.
Southern
you know
Cal not looking great right now, but there's two people that always put it in a good light. Kendrick Lamar, Ountae Campbell. So we're doing all that. Let's start with Kristaps Porzingis on Neemias Queta.
Yeah.
So interesting article put out, and that was Kristaps Porzingis talking about Neemias Queta. After they matched up in EuroBasket, took on one another. Queta, of course, playing with Portugal, while Kristaps Porzingis, we know, is always competing in EuroBasket. Here was the soundbite that jumped out. When just asked, Porzingis, I love him. He's candid. Great bite every time he's in front of the mic. Especially a good dude that was in Boston. I felt like he was refreshed playing basketball.
Yeah.
But this about Neemias. He's been putting in the work, and you can see it in how he's playing now in this tournament, the EuroBasket tournament. Yeah. I'm happy for him. He's a great dude, a really cool person. He puts in the time. He puts in the work. I'll be glad to see him get a lot more minutes this year.
Yeah.
This is a guy that, in his Celtics style, he's a Rob Williams light.
Yeah.
In how he can fit into the system, rim runner,
Yep.
can be a rim protector as well, great
At
lob
times.
threat.
Yeah.
Rob Williams light.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like there's still the IQ to come along.
Yep.
He's not a starter. He might have to be this season, but he's a guy that could play 82 games for you, can play 15, 20 minutes, and he can make an impact on the floor.
Yeah, what I love that I've seen from him in the games that I've watched him competing in EuroBasket is showing a touch. Like, he's showing the ability to track as a shooter, you know what I mean? I don't need him to be a guy that's shooting 40, you know what I mean, from three and shooting it from 45 feet like KP does, you know. I don't think he's ever going to be that kind of guy, but if he's a guy who can stand in the corner like Al and knock down a corner three every once in a while and, you know what I mean, swing momentum, that can be huge for the Boston Celtics because it's enough to just put a threat out there. I remember us talking about Wendell Carter last episode, and I don't want this to be like a Wendell Carter love
It's
show.
becoming it.
Because
It's becoming it.
I'm not that kind of guy, but I bring him up because when the Celtics faced off against the Magic in the first round last year of the playoffs, you know, I talked about how him being on the floor and being out there can open up the spacing for that Magic team that needed guys to space the floor because Paolo Banchero's not an elite three-point shooter. Franz Wagner had a down three-point year, and when you have those two dudes as your leading charge on the scoring end, you need a big that helps step out. This year, where there's a lot of question marks about the spacing and the scoring and who's going to do this and who do that, if Queta can be a guy that can knock down one a game, that just is enough to make a threat for a big to think about stepping out there to guard him and give guys like Simons, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, JB, White, Peyton Pritchard to get to the rim and actually make plays for themselves a little bit easier.
Yeah, and that's a guy too. If he can add a shot to his game, I mean, what he would bring all around to the floor, the spacing they get, but also it could be the potential of the lineup.
Right.
Who the starting point guard is going to be? Like some people put in Peyton Pritchard. I think it should be Anfernee Simons.
Yeah.
We'll see how he plays either of them next to a Derek White. But it's Simons or Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. It could be Chris Boucher, your guy, and it could be Neemias Queta at the 5. And Boucher, another athletic, long, can be a weak side rim protector.
Yeah.
What does he add on the offensive end? Super athletic, super long, and just someone that they can go small ball in a way.
Yeah.
But between Boucher and Queta, what they could have on the defensive end of the floor, it's going to be really hard to find space when you're around the rim.
It is, around the rim for sure. And then obviously just being able to hide Queta a little bit more on that switchability because, you get a 1-5 ball screen between him and Peyton Pritchard. We're getting a little nervous right now, on how that's going to look. But if you have Peyton Pritchard out there with a guy like JB, with a guy like Chris Boucher, with a guy like Derek White, who we know all can be 3 great shot blockers in their own right, it can help clean up a little bit of those mistakes that we know that Queta has and just the deficiencies that Peyton Pritchard has on defense.
Yeah, and that's what's important. Anfernee Simons, same thing.
Right.
Could end up helping to hide him too.
Right.
The front court depth's interesting. Like Luka Garza got signed, and there was all like the talk around him. What could he be and all that.
Yeah.
But to me, it should be Queta as the 5, Garza as the backup 5, and then we can see Boucher, Jordan Walsh. Does he take a step forward? I think it's about time. And Xavier Tillman, a guy that we saw Joe Mazzulla trust with minutes when he first got here, and that fell off towards more recent. Like that's what's enticing about the entire breakdown of this roster.
Yeah. In
the front court, they got 5 guys that can really play, but it's like it hinders on, okay, can Jordan Walsh be out there and be like an everyday 15, 20-minute guy too?
Right, and then that's what you're talking about, the depth. I think the strength in this depth of this roster, right, there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know what Queta really is as a starting big. We don't know what Luka Garza can do in the amount of minutes that we're projecting that he's going to get with this team, you know what I mean? Tillman has kind of been out of the lineup for a couple of years now since he's got here to Boston, and we don't know what he is in a Boston Celtics jersey. But the thing that can save this big man lineup is they can all, if Queta, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he continues to do what he's done in EuroBasket, if he can space out the floor, all 4 or 5 of those guys that we just talked about can space it out to the 3-point line and make a shot, which opens up the spacing on the floor. We had Luke Cornett last year. There's no Luke Cornett, when you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're coming in and he's a non-shooting big. I don't know if Joe Mazzulla has any plans on letting Queta stretch it out to the 3-point line this year, or if he's like, nah, dude, you're pick and roll for us, pick and roll. But if he does, that could be a huge bright spot of this team, of these bigs that we're all questioning if they can get the job done.
Right, and that's what I think like sticks out to me too. What do they bring offensively? What does Joe Mazzulla see at the fit for the role? And honestly, he might just stick Queta in the pick and roll and may not need it.
Right.
Like Anfernee Simons on the floor. And if that points where it'd be really small and like, what are you doing defensively?
Right.
If Simons and Pritchard on the floor at the same time, a lot of spacing, but defensively it's liabilities.
Yeah.
But in general, it's just when you get 1 through 3, you're going to have 3 good shooters there.
Yeah, great. Elite, not even good. Great, yeah.
Yeah, and then possibly who's out there at the 4 spot too.
Right.
And shoot, I mean, it could be would Queta be a big 4, and then you go Garza at the 5, and that's where you just get ambiguous with the numbers and the positions. Right. But Garza can shoot.
Right.
And then you have a lot of athleticism on the floor.
Right. Do you put Garza at the pseudo 4 offensively, right? But Boucher at the 5, you know what I mean, to be able to guard those bigs a little bit more and add a little bit more rim protection, and be able to slide with people on the, on the perimeter. Would that be something that they'd be interested in? I don't know. It's interesting. It's a lot of different ways that this lineup could shake out. Obviously health is a big part of it. Like hopefully this team can stay healthy and stay together. Obviously losing Jason Tatum for the majority of the year at the very least is going to come into play. So you want to hope that JB stays healthy. You want to hope that Derek White stays healthy, because I think we do talk about the depth, but the depth only matters if the stars of this team stay on the floor.
And that's a big part, too.
Yeah.
It's like Jaylen Brown has to be healthy. He's coming off offseason knee surgery.
Has to be, yeah.
But all the reports initially, he'll be ready for training camp, which will be October.
Right.
And all that, end of September into early October. So we talk about lineups, Anfernee Simons. And so much can change.
Yeah.
That's the thing, too. It's all about who closes games.
Yeah.
But here's a tweet on the screen from NBA Central.
Yeah.
An anonymous NBA executive says Anfernee Simons will lead the Celtics in scoring. I bet you he's their leading scorer. Even with Jaylen, he's going to have the ball a lot, and that dude can really score. Is he starting? Is he playing those significant minutes? What do you think with Simons? I think he would be the starting point guard. I want him in that role. I think Pritchard is still good coming off the bench. And this is a guy, 38% shooter from three. Joe Mazzulla would love him. Smaller guard, got to hide him defensively. But he could put up career high, say 25, 26 points per game. I would not be shocked with the Celtics.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily an indictment of Pritchard. I just love having what I know and continuity with all these unknowns that are going around. And I talk about it every episode because it is important. Like, I know when Pritchard comes off the bench and he plays against those second-team guys, he does it against the first-team guys as well. He comes in, he brings energy. That TD Garden pop is always super loud when he comes in. Pritchard, he loves these. He hits the half-court shots, you know what I mean? The buzzer beaters at the end of quarters and stuff like that. He comes in and gives you that spark and that boost, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we've seen it. With Jason Tatum, JB, it didn't matter. Derek White on the floor, the Celtics came out slow. They came out and missed the first 10 threes of the game, and we're looking like, what's going on? And then a Pritchard comes in and hits one, and then it just opens up the basket for the rest of the team. You know what I'm saying? So I would love for him to be the guy that comes in and is the spark plug. And then on the nights where JB is going good, or Derek White is going good, or Simons is going good, and he's not going good, we don't have to feel it as much as when he's a starter. I think a lot of the times we talk about Pritchard and how great he is, and he's Sixth Man of the Year, and he did a lot of great things. But there was a lot of games. I go to pretty much all of the home games here in Boston, and Pritchard is, there was games where it's like, where's Pritchard tonight? You know what I mean? Like
he had that a lot with Hauser too.
Right? He had 3 points. Yeah, 6 points. What was he doing? He was 1 for 6. Like he can't be 1 for 6. He's got to go 1 for 10. You know what I'm saying? And in the starting lineup, that's a lot louder than when you're coming off the bench.
When you're trying to be that tone setter. And that's the thing, too. It's the same when I look at where Boucher and Queta can fall, like what the second unit can be.
Yeah.
Simon, I don't try to get caught up in the name.
Yeah.
But Simon, to me, is just a starter. He's a guard. He understands it. He understands, to your point, having that role and that weight on his shoulders of how many minutes he's got to play and how productive he has to be, learning from Dame in Portland, where for Pritchard, like, his groove and coming in and being on that second unit, and he could still play 30 minutes a night, all depending how it goes.
Yeah.
They have depth in the backcourt.
Yep.
They have questionable depth in the front court, again, it depends who.
Yeah.
But I really like Anfernee Simons as a starter.
Yeah.
And I also think for the Celtics case, too, Simons will be free agent after this season.
Right.
He could be a rental for the Celtics.
Yeah.
I think they want to start him. You want him playing more minutes.
Right.
And when trade deadline rolls
you
around.
Want that value up. You want that value up. And that brings me to the question. I mean, the GM said it, and I personally don't think he's crazy. Do you think he can lead this team in scoring? You know what I mean? We know JB is the guy that we're all pegging that should have, Travis and I put MVP level chances, not he could win MVP, but he could finish as a finalist and all those stuff. Where do you see Anfernee Simons as a scorer for this team? Do you think he could be that elite for this Boston Celtics team?
He could be the leading scorer, but I still think it ends up being Jaylen Brown. Okay. He was always it was always Tatum was option 1, JB was option 2 towards more recent seasons. And I just think who Jaylen Brown is as a leader on the floor.
Yeah.
And also that's a guy that's learned to create his own shot and gotten a lot better with his handles. I just think he ends up being it. But if it's Jaylen Brown averaging 27 a night and Anfernee Simons with a career-high 25 a night, like how crazy is that? And it shows how slim the margins are between the two of them.
All right, then I want to ask you this as well. We talked about Queta. We talked about Simons. Of those two unknowns, because we're not sure exactly what their role is going to be, which one is more important for Boston's future success? Like, which one needs to show up more, in your opinion?
What's future?
However you want to define it, you know what I'm saying? The next steps, like after this year, anything after this year. Because this year we're kind of all throwing away, right? You know what I mean? I think not throwing away.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's We're not expecting to win a championship this year in Boston.
That's a great question. More important for the future success of Boston.
Right, like
it could be a dual-edged sword.
Simons going crazy and maybe getting traded for a higher value, or staying here and signing and being a good piece, you know what I mean, in the future with Jason Tatum, or, Queta solidifying his role as a starter and being that lock-up big that they need.
I think it would be Anfernee Simons.
Okay.
Either way, because if he sticks, that could be a guy that's a number 3 option. Say if Derek White's no longer on the team, but they keep the Jays. Or if he gets traded, could have a really big return and a long-term contributor to them. Where for Neemias Queta, as crazy as it is to say, like with his skill set and his athleticism, like they'll find another guy in that type of role. You know,
They always do.
Exactly.
They always do.
Where I think Anfernee Simons, you need to score, you need to put the ball in the bucket, and it's either he gives them a big return on the trade block, or he stays, they extend him, and he's only 27, he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
I think Anfernee Simons' long-term success is more important for the Celtics. What about you?
I agree. I agree. I mean, you said it all. And the thing about it is with Queta, you know, even if he comes out and he's a 20 and 15 guy with the Boston Celtics, like, they're not going to end up paying a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got JT and JB. So it's like, they're guard heavy. This is what they've always been. I like Queta, but they're going to feel the same way you feel. Hey, we got Queta. We can get another one. You know what I mean? We did it with Grant Williams. We did it with Robert Williams. We got it all. Did that a million times. Why not do it again?
Rim protectors are good to have, but it's like, I hate to diminish anything Porzingis did here, but when they won the title against the Mavs, what do you have? One good quarter, one good half in the entire finals when he returned from injury. They won it because of JT, JB, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. Where they didn't win it because of Porzingis is just in that role, and also how the NBA is right now.
Yeah, and then they go and get those guys in free agency. Or trade, you know what I mean? They got a KP in the trade. They got Al Horford in free agency and then trade, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, they always find a way.
Yeah, that was a good question, though. I always like it when we're like-minded on that. All right, we'll take a quick break here on Hold My Banner. When we get back, we'll be talking about Kawhi Leonard, no-show job, what could happen to him and the Clippers, how crazy the situation is in L.A., and also, rare time I do it, I'm going to give Jeannie Buss some love. She was right back in 2019. All that and more coming up on Hold My Banner. Welcome back to Hold My Banner. You see it on your screen. NBA is investigating allegations stemming from a Pablo Torre report that the Clippers and Steve Ballmer circumvented the league salary cap by paying Kawhi Leonard for a job with no responsibilities. The Clippers and Steve Ballmer have denied the allegations. All right, we'll get you guys caught up quick. This is such an interesting storyline. Absolutely insane that it's happening in 2025.
Yeah.
But basically, Kawhi Leonard back in 2019 signed with the Clippers, 3-year deal, just over $100 million, which was a pay cut for what he could have gotten when he was in free agency. But basically, they're being investigated for Steve Ballmer and this company, a Ponzi scheme, Aspiration, who branded themselves on taking companies and being good for the environment, which is great. And it might make you like a zero in your carbon footprint, all that. They plant trees for you. They gave Kawhi Leonard a $28 million endorsement deal. Pablo Torre, in his investigation, read the report, and it was basically all these outs where Kawhi didn't have to do anything. Literally, he had to do nothing, and he was going to get the $28 million. The only thing that would prevent him from getting $28 million is if he was no longer on the Clippers.
Insane.
Sounds nuts. And the layer beyond this, too, is not just that happening, and that allows teams, this is highly illegal in the NBA, because you can go around the salary cap. Also, the other layer in this is a guy that I knew from like Reddit, just reading about it, the name would come up, and I wouldn't give him much. Uncle Dennis, Kawhi's uncle. He's also his like personal consultant and all this. Basically, through this free agency, was asking teams, private plane, houses, guaranteed endorsement deals for Kawhi Leonard. And that is illegal because with all the owners throughout the NBA, you have the Steve Ballmers of the world, 6th richest person in the world, richest sports owner in the world. And then you have someone like a Jeannie Buss who they just don't have the same bankroll. Say if Steve Ballmer owned a company that built boats. In free agency, if I'm Steve Ballmer and you're Ountae Campbell free agent, I go, hey, here's the deal, and guess what? I know that other team's giving you $5 million more. Here's this mega yacht I can build. It's yours. Don't worry about it. It's mine, but it's yours. That would push teams and bully them out of the running and be an unfair advantage for, say, someone like a Jeannie Buss who, like mom and pop, hey, the best they could give you is here's a pair of shoes, you know? Wild. Okay, I tried to do my Spark Notes of it. Bro, when this came out, what did you think?
I mean, immediately you think, of course it's Kawhi. I mean, this dude is extremely frugal. He's been that guy throughout his career. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he has the no-show job because when has he ever shown up for anything besides winning Finals MVP twice? Other than that, he's never playing basketball. I mean, I think he's missed 40% of his games as a Los Angeles Clipper since 2019.
It's his knees, though. It's his body.
It's his knees,
ankle.
his body.
He's not like a Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, to be fair, Ben Simmons did a legal no-show job. With the Nets.
But, you know, it's been this way since San Antonio. You know what I mean? With the knee thing. It's been that way for years and years and years. So, you know, Kawhi has been a guy who undoubtedly, when he plays, NBA champion level, probably top 3 player in the league whenever he is actually available and on the floor. We actually just did the Clippers preview, and I gave him so much credit for how great he was in that series against the Denver Nuggets, who we'll talk about a little bit later as well. But Kawhi Leonard is the guy who's the face of showing up and collecting checks. And that's exactly what this reported deal, alleged, is saying.
There's nothing new about a team sponsor. Like Aspiration had the patch on the jerseys.
Yep.
And when the Intuit Dome was going to open up, they had like the logo on the back of the courtside seats. So they had sponsorship. But it was called the Intuit Dome.
Right.
They did not have the naming rights for the arena, but they were basically one of the biggest partners with the Clippers sponsorship-wise.
Yep.
There's nothing new to a player where you have the biggest sponsor, like what is it for the Celtics, like Vistaprint or something?
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But for like that player to get endorsed, there's nothing crazy about Kawhi being endorsed by Aspiration and cutting a check for them. There's nothing crazy about getting $28 million from them. But when they read the fine print, and it was basically all the outs were, if Aspiration has anything of Kawhi, and it was like a mental thing of like, it did not, beliefs.
Yeah.
Beliefs, that was the out. All the language in the contract allowed it for Kawhi to not show up and not do anything.
Yeah.
And the one out that would get Aspiration off the hook for the money is if he wasn't playing for the Clippers. Now, this was a company back starting in came about in 2013, was building up in 2021, really ramped up with endorsing Robert Downey Jr., shooting commercials with him, Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, also the part of this. Steve Ballmer, an impaired investor, they also filed and were sued $243 million in fraud. It ended up being a fraud company, which we've seen in the past, by 2 guys really don't know much of their background. But if you're circumventing the cap, this is like, for Kawhi Leonard, I get you say, of course, it's Kawhi with the no-show, and that is the joke within it, but that's also a guy that always seemed like it was just all about basketball, didn't talk much.
100%.
And it's like, for Kawhi Leonard and for his uncle Dennis, this is all alleged, they were pushing for it, shame on you. Like the contract he's getting right now, he's making $50 million a year. And for Steve Ballmer, same thing, shame on you getting bullied, if this is all true, getting bullied into doing this, where the $28 million you're giving him, you can do so much good in the world, and it's also, you're getting $50 million a year. To the uncle Dennis, like, bro, what more do you need?
And I mean, you asked me my first thoughts, and then obviously I dug a little deeper and thought about it more. My second thought is, man, if this is true, the NBA has to set an unbelievable example with the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, you go back and you look at all the times that in the NBA history where teams were found of circumventing the salary cap. And the last time that this happened was the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost 5 first-round picks. They forfeited. 2 were returned later. So you have to mention that. They were fined $3.5 million, which to Steve Ballmer is absolutely nothing.
Worth like $176 billion.
Right. That's like me dropping $1 on the ground right now. That's absolutely nothing to him. The contract was voided for Joe Smith. And then, the owner and the GM were both suspended and made to take leaves of absences from the team. So, this could be something that really screws over the Clippers, a team that I just talked about a couple episodes ago being a championship contender. I mean, they did so many great things this offseason, and it almost makes you question, like, they get a Bradley Beal. Like, was there something done with that? You know what I mean? Paul George even said on his podcast back a couple years ago or last year before he joined the 76ers, like, I just wanted what Kawhi got. What does that mean now? We're all rethinking about every single thing, and he even brought up Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss allegedly refused. It was reported back in 2019 that she refused the request of Uncle Dennis for a house and a lot and money on the side, like, all these extra benefits that would once again be circumventing the salary cap. So essentially, now the Clippers are saying they're gonna, comply and that they're gonna help out and that Ballmer has nothing to do with this, and we'll see what happens, right? And I'm not the judge and the jury, but if this is true, I don't want to see the Clippers in the playoffs next year. Like, I don't want to see them in the playoffs for 3 years because they don't even have picks to take.
They have a first in 27, 29, 30, 31, 32. But if it's just picks and a fine, I think to your point, it's not enough. You have to void Kawhi's contract. He needs to be suspended for a year.
For the league,
Like we thought Jonte Porter with the betting was bad. He got a lifetime ban. Like, Kawhi's lucky he's Kawhi.
Right.
But like a lifetime ban should be on. They're going to make an example out of the Clippers,
Yep.
out of Kawhi, out of his uncle Dennis.
Yeah.
And we're also going to see all these NBA teams, they're going to have to open up their books.
Yeah.
All of these contracts and the endorsement deals, like this is going to be a big investigation. Probably going to take a few years for the NBA to go through it all, especially with the superstars.
Yeah.
Because we'll get into one name that's floated out there. You know, I wasn't excited.
Yeah.
But to your point, no matter how the Clippers perform, there has to be, I think, a multi-season postseason ban. I'm not even BSing.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's part of it. There is the basketball sense of it. You want the league to be competitive. You're trying to avoid tanking as we see it every year.
Second apron. We've been yelling about that in Boston for the last year about this second apron and how it's killing this Boston Celtics team. And now I have to hear this. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
What's stopping teams from doing that? Getting around the second apron. You know,
Right.
hey, you get this endorsement deal, you buy all this real estate, whatever it may be. Like, they have, especially with the second apron coming down, it's going to be done. And this is part of it, too, where it's the public perception of the league that it is on a fair playing ground.
Right.
Why should someone be a fan of, whoever the least wealthy ownership is in the NBA? Why should anyone be a fan of, I'm just throwing out the Pelicans. They could be the second for all I know. But why should they be that if they don't have a fair shot? Because Steve Ballmer and the Clippers can go out and do this.
Right.
I think it's a multi-year postseason ban. It's voiding Kawhi's contract, which the Clippers still need to pay for in some way. Maybe that's a fine that they pay and end up goes to the league instead of him. And I think it would be a suspension for him, a suspension for the Clippers GM, a suspension for Steve Ballmer. They're going to make an example out of the Clippers if all of this is true.
100%. And, you know, you talked about it a little bit there, but, you know, it makes me wonder, like, hey, Jalen Brunson, New York Knicks, James Dolan, who we know
he left
is
a
not
lot of money on the table.
You know, he's
Jalen
not
Brunson.
a very ethical person, you know what I'm saying? So are they doing something shady over there in New York? It makes you question that. And I think Pablo Torre, you know,
on Dan Patrick, he said he's getting a lot of calls about Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, because that was weird. It was weird at the time. You know what I'm saying? It was. It was a little, you know, shaky. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing can be sacred.
And then Mikal Bridges deal was a little shaky.
How much Kith stock you think Jalen Brunson got?
See, I'm not going to get caught clipped off saying anything about that. We're just going to see allegedly, you know what I'm saying? Allegedly.
I think if Jalen Brunson's found guilty, I think Rick Brunson lifetime banned from anything, and that's it. And I think that's enough. Ban Rick Brunson. I think that's good enough.
Rick, dog, he's got to catch the ban hammer.
Ban him.
Oh,
get Rick off away from Jalen.
Yeah, man. You know, it is.
But it's legit though. Like the Knicks fan anatomy comes out, and it's like, bro.
For real though, you know, like, you know, this is a Boston Celtics show, and like as a Boston Celtics, you know, covering this team, like it is frustrating because like
they're doing it right. The Celtics are doing it the right way.
Like I would have loved to see KP here. I'm still hurt about Drew. I think I cry every night. I got a Drew holiday blanket that I cry into every single night because I want him. And Al Horford, oh my God, you know, we just talked about him last episode. I love for Al Horford to come and be a Boston Celtic. So it's like if the Clippers are doing this, like you know what I'm saying, we got a rich new owner built, like, you know, what's up, man? Slide some money under the table. At least be a little bit smarter than Ballmer. And don't make the money go from an LLC to an LLC right under the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, at least do something where you're not an investor or get your friend to invest or something. You know what I mean? Like, do it a little smarter than what Ballmer allegedly did.
That's the thing, too, of like, he could have done this so much cleaner.
Which makes me believe that, Mark Cuban saying that he doesn't think he did.
I was trying to find that.
Yeah.
You texted it to me. I want to find it.
And so, you know, if Mark Cuban, you know, it is what it is. They're all billionaires, and there's no such thing as
they're all going to look out for each other's backs so they don't
there's
get
no such thing as an
too.
ethical billionaire. You know what I mean? There's just not. But if he's saying that he didn't do it, and there's a lot of evidence saying that they're going to help out and do all this other stuff, it makes you believe that he probably did get fleeced. We know a ton of other companies and celebrities and all this other stuff that did get fleeced in this situation with aspirations. So, you know, that's kind of my hope, I guess. I mean, I don't want this to be true because I want the NBA brand to stand strong, right? I'm not worried about, I don't care about Kawhi, I don't care about Ballmer, I don't care about the Clippers. I want the NBA brand to be thick as thieves. Jonte Porter already took a chunk out of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't need Kawhi coming over here to my favorite sport and messing it up as well. So I'm hoping that this isn't true. But if this is true, it's catastrophic.
This was the statement put out by the Clippers. Neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap, engaged in any misconduct. Any contrary assertion is provably false, yada, 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 yada. Where it was unaware, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Here's the one from Mark Cuban. I'm on Team Ballmer. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap first, Steve isn't that dumb. If he did try to feed KL money, knowing that what was at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt, knowing all creditors would be visible to the world? They got scammed, along with many others. Crimes for which they pleaded guilty last week. Scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge deal. The better the team does, the more value the sponsorship has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole money from investors and want the Clippers to succeed, why not give stolen money to help keep their best player?
Yeah.
It's sad that Pablo Torre didn't take the time to find out these scammers pulled off their scam. I agree with that at the end. Towards the end of this, I was like, how did these two guys get away with it?
Right.
They were connected to the Clintons,
Yeah.
the White House. The guy ran for like a Democratic chair in Arizona twice.
Right.
Like what these guys did as well. But with all of that, Steve Ballmer, you don't get to where he is without being hyper competitive and doing whatever it takes. And something that's new of being an NBA owner, there are rules against what you can do.
Right.
So he's probably done this in the past in other ways. Bring someone on his board. Okay, look, we can't match his salary, but let me get you to invest in this. I own this company. Here we go. Yeah. You could sit on two seats.
Right.
One job, you're sitting on two different companies and you're getting this profit. That's what he tried to do, and he got caught.
And the pressure is enormous. You know, coming off of being the owner that has to be the guy that folds up,
Donald
Sterling, you know what I mean? And then obviously a team that's never been to the Western Conference Finals until the Ballmer era.
2021.
You know what I mean? Never been to the NBA Finals, obviously, which means they never won the NBA championship. There's pressure, you know what I mean, in a city like Los Angeles to do something like that.
Building a brand new stadium, you need to have the superstars.
Right. We talk about 18 champions here, 17 champions is his next door neighbor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to hear about LeBron and Luka and, you know what I mean, and Kobe and, all these other people that have been there during his time as the owner. It's tough to compete with, right? So there could be some pressure there that could force somebody who has that kind of bag to do something out of character and characteristic. It does seem sloppy. It does seem dumb, which makes me believe, as smart as a guy as he is, that there would be a different way that he would go about this if he were to try to do it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I do know. All these teams cheat.
Yes.
In one way or another. Whether it be on the court or off the court.
First domino.
Whether it's on the court or off the court, they're all cheating. You can talk to the players and they're doing things at the free throw line to try to, mess with another player. Like, everybody's trying to find that competitive advantage. That's the difference, though. Some of it is a little bit of a competitive advantage, and some of it is just borderline, flat out disrespectful.
Yeah.
And if this is true, that's that level.
It's just like it takes the air out of it for me with the league. Like you say, you love the league. I love watching the NBA.
Yes.
There's part of it. It's like, you're the owners, you're the billionaires, you got these rules. And again, where I just go on the shame on Kawhi and his Uncle Dennis and all this too, bro. Enough, how much is enough?
Right.
$30 million a year when he signed the other deal. He's making $50 million a year now.
Yeah.
If you're Uncle Dennis, you really want to be this guy for him. You're doing it the illegal way, bro. Get linked up with financial advisors, just sit back, relax, enjoy life, and let Kawhi invest it in real estate or whatever he wants to do, and then you go that route where he doesn't have to invest a penny. He's got $50 million a year coming in.
Right.
That's a part that irks me on all this too, where it's just again, the people that they allow within their circles. You could have all the money in the world. It doesn't give you street smarts to know, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Right.
And that's what it is. All right, we'll take another break here. I'll hold my banner. When we're back, we'll be previewing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Speaking of teams circumventing the salary cap, they're the last ones to do it. We talked about all those sanctions they got. So we'll be with that right after the break. But also, make sure to know you can go to NessonWickedWearables.com to cop some Hold My Banner swag. That's NessonWickedWearables.com. Everything you want, Hold My Banner, Boston's End of the Chat, Foxborough Rush, some Breggy bumps too, as well. All
Breggy
of that.
bombs, yes, sir.
Breggy bombs. Yeah, I saw bumps instead of string. I was like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, Breggy bombs.
Smelling salts. I swear to God, guys. We'll take a break. I'll hold my banner right after this. All right, we're back on Hold My Banner. You see that Minnesota Timberwolves putting in that work. Julius Randle with the clean jumper. This is a team that's interesting, man. I mean, if anything, they offloaded a few pieces, nothing major. But this is depth. This is Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Julius Randle completely elevating his game since he got dealt to Minnesota, finding a shot.
Yeah.
We saw them make a run. This is a team that should be a true contender. They are. But we really need to see a run and maybe a championship appearance. To me, it's about time because we'll get into it. When you look at their core, the players they have, how deep they are, 1 through 5, and on their bench, I think it's due. Like the Timberwolves are due, and Edwards is due to get to the championship.
Due? I wouldn't necessarily say.
And I don't like saying due, but like it's about time.
It is.
Yeah, it's not like just because they've amounted it right, like they should get it.
Right.
But I think they're due to show up.
Yeah, they are. It's just tough for them because this Western Conference is tough. It's unbelievably stacked, and I feel like every time we talk about a Western Conference team, we have to bring that up because it is true. Like it's going to be about who stays healthy. What I do love about their team and what I do love about the team that we're going to talk about next is the continuity. I love them locking up Julius Randle this year. I love them locking up Naz Reid this summer as well. You know what I mean? Jaden McDaniels is locked up for a couple more years. Anthony Edwards obviously is going to be there until the wheels fall off. And Rudy Gobert, you know, we looked at that signing back in the day, and especially when they had Cat, we weren't sure if that was going to work. But with Julius Randle and the way that he's been locked in since he's been in the Minnesota Timberwolves jersey, it's been absolutely fantastic days for Rudy Gobert over there. So, you know, and Mike Conley also being the older, the vet, the guy who's incredibly intelligent, that teaches these guys how to win in winning situations and keeps them humble and keeps them locked in. Man, they do have a great team of continuity that's been together for a couple of years now. Obviously, Julius Randle just getting there right before the season started last year. But, you know, it really started to work out for them towards the end of last year. And they made another deep playoff run because of it.
Back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances, losing in the Western Conference Finals. But that's the thing. When you look at how the depth chart shakes out, Mike Conley, Rob Dillingham, can Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. take a step forward?
Right.
But it's Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert. Like, when you run through those names and name that, like, this is a team that is 8-9 deep, seriously, throughout the regular season. Maybe Joe Ingles, we'll see what they'll get from him. He continues to step up. They didn't make a lot of additions in the offseason, but it's like they just had to run it back and extend guys. Right? Like, that's all guys that have been there. And with Julius Randle, the change of scenery, like, obviously, it was wild to see him go from New York to Minnesota. That blindsided him. But he elevated his game. He got better. I saw a scoring threat in Julius Randle consistently, and a spacer in Julius Randle that never existed for the New York Knicks. And that's what made this team better. That's why I think it's like they're due to pull through now. Like, Ant, everyone's looking at you. You had to run 2 years ago. Your legs gave out from under you. You guys had to run this year, Western Conference Finals, obviously run into a buzzsaw, and the best team in the league. Now it's time. Like, it has to be Western Conference Finals has to be their floor.
It has to be their floor. At least in their mind, they have to believe that that's the floor. You know what I mean? They got to believe that they win a championship. And I really do think that they do. What I do love about, I don't know if you saw that, you know, that video of Julius Randle that's circulating right now, but, you know, he just recently came out and said that he, you know, stopped, you know, smoking, you know, the guy.
It's legal here in Massachusetts.
The Earth's lettuce, you know what I'm saying?
Mary Jane, devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce, whatever, the Earth's lettuce. Something like that, you know,
the weed.
Whatever, the weed. You know, and I think that helped, you know what I mean, with him being able to lock in and focus and just be more consistent, because we did see a lot of inconsistency when he was a New York Knicks. We did see a lot of inconsistency in L.A., in New Orleans, you know what I mean? But now, over here in Minnesota, he seems like he's completely locked in on the mission, completely understanding that he is an NBA veteran that's been in this league a long time. That is a privilege. And if he wants to be a championship-level guy, he has to be there every single night. There were some times in that Western Conference Finals where he was a little shaky at times, but throughout the rest of the playoffs, he was a great contributor, and that's what put the ceiling at a championship level what it should have been. If he could have continued, and Anthony Edwards also came up short, not playing consistently as well as he should have throughout that Western Conference Finals appearance. But if they can both show up for this team, man, they should be. They're a contender. They are a contender. Not even should be. They are. They are. I can say that with my chest. What I do want to see though is they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Rob Dillingham has to get minutes early on in the season. Because playing 8 deep right now and hoping that you're going to stay healthy through a rough Western Conference is not realistic assumption. You have to see what you got in Rob Dillingham. You got to see what you got in Jalen Clark. You got to let Joe Ingles, the old guy, play a couple minutes here and there. And then from there, you know what I mean? You get in the playoffs.
You got to get to the postseason.
You close it to 8, and then you do what you do.
This is also a team, too, that I like. They didn't blow it up. They didn't do an overhaul. They didn't do a crazy change.
Yeah.
They just ran it back. They lost a guy like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, as you mentioned, but like they ran it back, even with the head coach and Chris Finch.
Yeah.
Like they're keeping everything intact. And
I love him. He's a great coach.
I think he's fantastic.
And I love that he's kind of like mean. You know what I mean? Like when he had that issue with his knee or whatever, his leg, when the player came crashing onto the bench, and he like, I forget what he did in his leg, but he like tore something.
Yeah, he was on like the
whatever.
scooter after.
And he was still on the sideline coaching. He's like, I'll put the assistant coach up there, but I'm gonna sit back here.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'm still, yelling from the like he's in it, dude. So you love that when you see a coach that's as fiery as his players are, and man,
he fits Anthony Edwards.
They play with such a chip. It's just it's the synergy over there in Minnesota is just beautiful.
They have the scoring, and we've seen with his 3-point shot what it's become.
Yeah.
But they're going with like chippiness, nasty defense, physicality, and a lot of experience too.
Right.
Same thing on like a Naz Reid, a Jaden McDaniels. They need to be consistent along with the Julius Randle. They're in a great spot though because these are a lot of guys I can count on, and you see it. Like you see what they have, and they can take the next step in their game.
Yeah.
And their team is fitted with guys that other teams have had as starters in the postseason, or you could see starting on other teams in the playoffs as well. Like that's the thing with this team of how deep they are. I want to see a run. I think Anthony Edwards in the NBA Finals would be great.
That would.
And I just think this team overall.
I would love to see it. He's box office. He's out in China, I think, right now, doing the shoe promotion and stuff like that. And he's having a lot of fun out there, doing a lot of great things for that community. Anytime he's on TV, his ads, he's hilarious. He does everything. So seeing him in the NBA Finals, getting those clips, getting those, those comments, it's just going to be a lot of fun. So I hope to see him as well. I did want to ask you about some betting before we go to break. So a lot of these books are putting out a line of 49.5 for their win total. How do you feel about that? Over or under?
Over. They got 49 wins last regular season.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised by that number. They think they'd be the same.
Yeah.
We're going to talk the Nuggets. They got better.
Yeah.
Because even as you're saying, we want to see the run. Like, OKC ran it back.
Yep.
Nuggets got a lot better.
Yeah.
This West is so deep. That's why it's so hard. But dude, the Rockets, how they're outfitted.
Right.
Keep forgetting KD's there too. It's all of that. But I really think the Timberwolves are. It's tough to say when Jokic is out there. I think the Timberwolves are the second best team in the West.
Woo,
hard to go against it. So I like that over 49.
I can see it. That's it. That's
a bet?
Yeah.
It's an interesting number.
It's going to be right there.
They were 56 wins, 49.
I'm going to say like 50. It's right there.
Like with your gut, like can you think like Timberwolves win less than 49 games? No. That's one of those
but it's a sweat it out though. We sweating.
Yes.
We're sweating over for sure.
I wouldn't mind sweating that over. I trust this team. I trust this coach. Take another break here on Hold My Banner. When we're back, we'll be talking Denver Nuggets right here on Hold My Banner. Welcome back. Hold My Banner. Brucey B of Massachusetts back in our threads for the Denver Nuggets. This is a team that won the damn offseason, you ask me. George Balekji Ountae Campbell back with you guys. We're now going to preview the Denver Nuggets, team that's deep. Possibly the best team we've seen around Nikola Jokic yet.
Yeah.
It says a lot, obviously, because they won the NBA title 3 years ago. Since then, though, lost back-to-back in the Western Conference semis. Do they get back to the top? Do they have spacing around Nikola Jokic, who had become a hero?
Yeah.
Let's start with the big part for them, offloading the MPJ contract, getting him off the team, and now the core, Jamal Murray, Bruce Brown, Christian Braun, Cam Johnson, who they bring in, great addition. Tim Hardaway Jr., Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and Jonas Valanciunas to back him up as well.
Right.
Basically got rid of a washed Dario Saric, got rid of MPJ, bring in Cam Johnson, Jonas Valanciunas. This team's good.
We said watch Dario Saric. Was Dario Saric ever a good NBA player? I'm just asking an honest question. You know what I mean? Like he was
fine to have on a roster.
He was a bust off the rim. I'm just being honest.
Right. But he was fine to have on a roster. As a backup.
We'll talk about MPJ and Cam Johnson now. MPJ and Cam Johnson, great trade. And it's just a great trade based off of, like, have you seen what MPJ's been doing this offseason? Like, he's running around doing every podcast, saying stuff that he's not supposed to say, talking about how he would whoop on high school basketball players would whoop on WNBA players and all this stuff. Like, he's just giving out clickbait after clickbait after clickbait.
That's a dude, like...
What's up with that family? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, they're ruining the brand, dog. Like, they're ruining the
really
shield.
Talented, a bunch of great basketball players.
100%. Immensely, yeah. And
up here is just like, what's going on?
And I think the role got tired over there in Denver. You know what I mean? The role of him just being the catch and shoot guy. Mm-hmm. It was so many years where they were asking him to be a better rebounder and be a better defender and all this other stuff. And like, at some points he was doing it in the bubble. I remember vividly watching him like really sliding his puppies and, you know what I mean, boxing out and being physical and being locked in. But, you know, after they won the chip, it seemed like he had like that winner's championship fatigue, and he was like, I've eclipsed it. Like, I'm here now.
I did the work.
Right. So like, I don't have to do it anymore. And when you got Jokic who's still trying to win them, you know what I mean? And you got Altman who's a coach who looks like he's trying to coach to win some. You need some players, and Aaron Gordon, the way he went off in the playoffs last year.
The way he's evolved his game too.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that guy looked at Nikola Jokic, the best player in the world, and was like, I'd rather go to Brooklyn and score than play with you and win more rings.
Exactly.
But that's a reflection on him. And then in comes Cam Johnson.
Man. And
there's like addition by subtraction, and then there's like out with MPJ, and you get like a plus player in Cam Johnson.
Yeah, and I mean, this kid has been in situations where he hasn't been really able to win yet. Now he's getting the opportunity, like, to win. And, like, I think he's hungry.
He's wasting away in Brooklyn.
He was wasting away in Phoenix when he was there too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at that time, they weren't really anything. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, now he's going to get opportunity to be in a winning culture, be in a winning environment, play with one of the best players in the entire world. You know, and be able to just not even just the best player, the best playmaker flat out in the entire world. So
a shooter like him.
Exactly. And a guy who can play off back cuts and play off screens, he's going to be getting a lot of easy open looks. This is going to be a beautiful marriage between him, Cam Johnson, Jokic, Gordon, and Jamal Murray. I think that those four.
Jamal Murray's healthy.
Hopefully. And then just the energy guy of Christian Brown coming in and just giving the energy that he always gives, a Kansas kid. He's always been that hard-playing guy, and he makes shots occasionally. I remember him coming into Boston making shots, and I was like, dude, what is going on? Come on, Christian Brown making shots tonight? But, you know, they're playing the champ, so I understood it. But, like, you know, he makes shots, and when he is making shots, this team is dangerous. Yeah. And then obviously bringing back Bruce Brown to come back into winning basketball again and play in the role that he was playing in. I mean, this team is really, really scary because Bruce Brown's going to be playing a Westbrook role, but a little bit younger. So it could be a really good opportunity. And he won here.
Exactly. He knows how to play with Jokic too, which I think that's important to bring him in and put him around a Christian Brown too.
Right.
Try to teach him the ins and outs. Of course, Brown's been with Jokic the past couple of years, but like Bruce Brown, a guy that did it all with him. Played his way out of staying in Denver. Went, got paid, bounced around a little, but now back in Denver. It's just how they cycled it through. Do you think this is the best Nuggets team we've seen yet?
No question. This is better than their championship team.
Which is insane.
And the reason I say that is because Bruce Brown had to be a starter on that team. You know what I mean? He had to be a starter. Right now he's coming off the bench with Christian Brown doing, you know, what he did in a 6-7 package, you know what I'm saying? And then you got Julian Strawford off the bench as well with Bruce Brown. You got Tim Hardaway Jr., who had a fantastic year last year. You got Peyton Watson, who continues to get better and better and better every year. And then you bring in the vet. They never had a big as good as Jonas Valanciunas backing up Nikola Jokic during the prime of Nikola Jokic's years. Obviously, they had the years where Nurkic was the starter and Jokic was coming off the bench, and that was great. But, like, JV can shoot the three out to the, you know, shoot the ball out to the three-point line. He can do some passing things as well. He's a good facilitator for a big. He rebounds. He's physical. He does a lot of Jokic light things, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not Jokic, but we talk about blah, 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 light. This is Jokic light. And so, you know, when you're coming in and you have that guy who's going to be backing up an all-time center like that, and you have a starting center backing up an all-time center like that, this team is definitely the most talented team that they've had.
And it's right. It's like career. There was a KCP on that team, but again, what Cam Johnson brings in the scoring category.
Yeah, and even Tim Hardaway, like, you know, KCP's better defensively, you know what I mean? He's leaps and bounds better, but like when you talk about that scoring ability that KCP brought when he was winning over there in Denver, I think Tim Hardaway can back that up as well.
Tim Hardaway Jr., like, long NBA career, bounced around. Good spot to be in again in Denver this part. And here's the thing, too, of like what Aaron Gordon consistently has been as well and how he's developed his three-point shot. It's kind of like a Brook Lopez-esque evolution that we've seen with him, but the athleticism is sticking with him, being in that dunker spot and being a rim runner, but now a guy that can drop into the corner and space the floor and brings everything defensively as well. That's like the team last year was one where you like palm your face watching, like how can you waste Jokic like this? Looking at the structure of this team now, if Jamal Murray can stay healthy, but you look at this, you're like, this is a serious basketball operation from top to bottom with the roster they constructed around them. Like, they're the fun teams like the OKC Thunder. We've seen them growing up before our eyes. Like, half of those guys don't drink and they're winning a ring.
Right.
There's the Timberwolves. Obviously, you see the run the Knicks have put together, the Celtics. This is a team where it's just like, they're going to walk in arenas. It's a bunch of adults.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of vets. It's a bunch of experienced guys. And, like, they don't want to have fun. They want to win, but they're going to have fun because they're winning with Jokic.
When you look at this roster, I mean, it's really just, what was the name of their former Calvin Booth, right? Calvin Booth, the former GM.
Yeah.
That's the only issue that I see with the roster on the team is the guys who are in that third string for them, you know what I mean? The Jalen Pickett, the Hunter Tysons, the Zeke Najis. Those were terrible contracts that they gave to those guys, and, you know, no hate to them. I think that especially Jalen Pickett is a meaningful, productive NBA player in spurts, you know what I mean? I think he can show that. But if some of these guys start to break down, that depth after that is really nerve-wracking because they don't have those young pieces that you're looking forward to. Like, oh, in a couple years, in 4 or 5 years, these guys could be the guy, like not the guys, but guys, you know what I mean? Like they had what they had with Jokic when he first came in the league, you know? They don't have that. That's the only thing. Is Altman really the right coach for them? You know what I mean? Is he the guy? Was that just a spurt, a run because they lost Mike Malone, a new voice? Like,
you get the juice put in him.
We have no idea. We're gonna find out this year. But based off of what I've seen out of him, man, he was really coaching his butt off and had this team reeling and playing in those playoff series and everything leading up to it. So this team really, honestly, besides Christian Brown's shooting, like, they don't got holes.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, where's the concerns on this team? It's tough to find them.
Yeah.
They have a lot of spacing around. Like, Jokic had to go on a historic Nuggets-wise tear of, like, becoming one of their all-time shooters in a season last year because of the lack of the spacing. They supplemented that so good.
Yeah.
So we talked about the T-Wolves, and I was like, I like them to make it to the finals.
Yeah.
They finished 6th in the West. This is a Nuggets team. We really like them now. They're better than a championship team. They finished 4th. Again, and OKC runs it back. Houston got better. That's another reminder of how good the West is.
All right. Once again, betting question to end it. 53.5 wins for some of these, you know, these companies, these betting lines. Over or under 53.5.
I'm going to go over.
Okay.
The shooting's so good.
So who's going under in the West? All those
I'll
other
look through
teams
it and
that we talked about before.
I mean, they got better. With all the struggles and how it was never right last year, they won 50 games.
Right.
That's the same thing with the T-Wolves. Like, they battled through getting Julius Randle acclimated to the team, figuring out the chemistry, some injuries, and they won 49 games.
Yeah.
So that's why they're going to get better. I like them as a 55-win team.
Okay, last thing. Jokic MVP again?
Ooh. With these shooters around him, man, how could you say no? Do you have the betting favorite? Do you have the betting odds?
I can look. Let me look at it real quick. I'll grab it.
Because I wonder. I just think when you surround him with these types of guys.
Yeah, he's second best odds plus 3,200. I mean 320 plus 300.
Okay, I was gonna say that's
Sorry,
a good one.
me.
I like that bet. Who's number one? Is it SGA?
SGA, of course.
I would go Jokic. Is he gonna get an All-Star teammate this year?
Who? Jokic?
He's never played with an All-Star.
Hey, if Aaron Gordon is playing like how he played, you know what I'm saying? We don't got time to talk
Could be
about
Cam
it.
Johnson.
It could be. It could be Aaron Gordon. The way Aaron Gordon played last year to end the year was insane, dude.
Yeah.
He was the best player, like the second best player on their team. Probably the second best player in most of the series that they've played against. So I'm just being honest.
Aaron Gordon or Cam Johnson, All-Star appearance to the moon. Maybe one of them gets All-NBA. Never played with anyone All-NBA.
I know. We got to go, though.
And he's won a ring. All right, we got to go and hold my banner. It's always a good time, my man. Ountae Campbell, George Balekji. See you guys on Tuesday. Fresh episode, always 1 to 2 p.m. on Nessa Nation. Catch him on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll see you guys then.